when I did my first volunteer shift with Arctica, I don't know what's the significance of this. I hope I find out at some point. They wrote my name down on a book, and I noticed I didn't write everybody's name down of the people that I did the shift with. Mm-hmm. So I guess like you, Passion, were some like very important person who just did such a great job that
you're going to have to go to the principal.
I knew this day would come.
That's okay. The principal of Burning Man High is pretty cool. He's going to sit down backwards on his chair with you.
It's Richard Belzer instead of Mr. Belding.
I was going to say the principal from the Breakfast Club.
Yeah. Oh, God.
2 months, Passion.
Wearing a collared golf shirt, tucked into khaki shorts.
Yes. So again, they wrote my name down. They say they follow up with me. I have no idea if that means. Who knows?
Have you filled out the volunteer questionnaire on the Burning Man website?
I have not.
So there is one, and you ought to.
You go to that thing right there, and you click that little Arctica, and then you'll be in their system.
Oh, I'm going to do this.
Yep.
One thing you have to remember about Burning Man departments is they're run almost exclusively by volunteers, and they're managing a shit ton of data. So you often have to be kind of proactive people.
But it's not that hard once you are.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, if you want to be plugged into Arctica, you only got to reach out and say so, and they will make you a penguin. Or a polar bear? Penguin.
I have no idea.
Or a polar bear.
Both of those are new to me. I didn't realize they had animal avatars.
Well, the polar bear's all over their logo.
Sure.
But I'm pretty sure that the volunteers are called penguins.
Yeah, that's offensive. That's taken by nuns.
There's no nuns on Playa.
Mm-hmm.
They used to come, but the tickets got too expensive.
Oh.
Good deal. That's easy.
See, there's another free Playa art project. You can have a Playa convent of Playa nuns wearing Playa habits.
Like hot warrior nuns or like hot abusive ruler-wielding nuns?
Yes.
All right. I'm not necessarily going to enroll in their school, but I may do battle with their volleyball team. We'll see. So we can do it again, or I can keep that whole exchange in. 5, 4.
Welcome to Accuracy Third. I'm Beth.
I'm Rex.
And I'm D-Day. And today on Accuracy Third, we are interviewing our brand new friend, Passion. Beth wasn't here. Beth hasn't heard the audio yet. Beth does not know why I am asking her. Beth, have you ever had a Charles Schultz moment on Playa?
That's the guy who writes Peanuts?
That's the guy who writes Peanuts. So, have you had like a Lucy Booth situation or like a football yank sort of situation or a Joe Cool type situation or perhaps a flying ace type situation?
I'm just not like a huge Peanuts fan.
No, never a good grief.
They never seemed funny or compelling to me personally.
You never ran into Pigpen or a Linus?
I actually know a Pigpen specifically chosen name, and they're a real difficult sub, apparently.
There you go.
Like, look, I've never gotten into Peanuts because too many people have kinks related deeply to them.
Wow.
Do you know how many lesbians are like wild about Lucy and Peppermint Patty? And I'm not shitting you. I met a Pigpen where I'm like, this is not a comfortable relationship you are having with your artist friend right here. It's never been funny, and it's always been emotionally complex. And so, no, not a fan.
I will 100% agree with you that it's never been funny.
Talking about booths and people yanking the football away from you, Beth. Rex, you've certainly had a person yanking a football away from you moment on Playa, haven't you?
One of the first things that I did that was social at all after COVID was a benefit party for Air Pusher, which is the big Zeppelin mutant vehicle. ship, mutant vehicle. And at this party, I ended up manning a Lucy booth for a couple of hours. And it was a riot. I just had a fabulous time doing spontaneous interactions with people in a ever so slightly mediated manner. It's good to be the shrink, the free shrink.
Okay, so one of the things Passion talks about in this episode is the camp that he stayed with. The title he gave us was Dr. Baron von Real's Most Spectacular Steampunk Sideshow. And since he was someone who had a theme camp name that was so extensive, you know, you kind of learn to rattle it off. So the audio that I got from him from the interview, I couldn't really understand what he was saying to transcribe it into the show notes. So I did myself a Google search. And I found out that their actual name is Dr. Baron von Real's Esquire's Most Spectacular Steampunk Sideshow of Altered Reality and Debauchery, which is one hell of a name for a camp.
It certainly is. So, say it one more time.
Dr. Lawyer Baron's name is Dr. Baron von Real's Esquire's Most Spectacular Steampunk Sideshow of Altered Reality and Debauchery camp.
You know, that is one way to stand out on the camp list. With all of those words in the title, you're going to take up like 3 or 4 line breaks.
Does it make a good acronym?
DBVREMSSSO, maybe not.
D, and
A,
V
maybe not.
An instant no.
Nope.
All right.
No, it's a mess.
Either of you remember any theme camp names of note or other means of really pulling someone's attention towards your camp using something like a silly name or another wild affectation?
Favorite of mine, and I think I've mentioned it before, is one where the name of the camp tells you exactly what you're going to experience when you go into the camp, and that was the Talk to God box.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think I'm conflating the Talk to God booth and the God box. I think it might have been called like God Box Encounter or something, but the God box was prominent in the name of the camp. And then what you did was go inside and hear about the God box and then encounter the God box. Fucking Unicorns Camp is pretty great.
Is that like a bisexual camp?
It's just a camp, the entrance of which is unicorns fucking.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Do the sheriffs know about that?
It's not gay if they're unicorns.
I'm not qualified to say. Before we get into this interview with Passion, we would like to remind all of our listeners that this podcast can only be done with your help, and we're not talking about your money. We are talking about your stories and the stories that your friends have. Please send yourself or them our way at accuracythird@gmail.com, and we will be able to continue doing this podcast with the stories of your friends. You know more people than we know. We're just 3 people.
And for those of you who listen across the country and across the world, don't think that just because you haven't come to the big thing in Nevada, we don't want to hear your stories. Burning Man culture is global. There are events happening constantly. Call us up and tell us about your regional. Tell us about the regional that you went to across the damn globe. Tell us your stories.
Folks, if just 7 of you get together, we can interview someone really, really famous. That's how that works. Like maybe even Kevin Bacon. And now, this is our new friend Passion.
My journey to Burning Man got me here through a lot of it was listening to Accuracy Third. A lot of it was also, man, we've been through this pandemic and I wanted to do something bold that involved people that would allow me to reconnect with people in a spiritual way. And through my therapist, who recommended I went to Burning Man, thank you, therapist, I made my way to Burning Man. And through that experience, I'm personally, Rex, a fan of how when you're helping someone in need, you are alleviating the burden of others. It's kind of a life philosophy that I like to live. And so I did that with a friend. Her playa name is Maybe. She was not having the best time. I think this is on Monday of Burn Week. And I decided to, have her talk through her feelings and, help her be better. And she was appreciative of that. And so we went throughout most of Esplanade, just, sightseeing, just talking to people. And we came across a friend of hers whose name is Dragon. And he is the person who gave me my playa name, which is Passion. So I get to tell people that I helped a friend in need. I talked to a dragon, and that's how I got my playa name.
Nice. Okay, that's being named by a dragon is pretty epic.
That's legitimate.
Thank you. It's like still like a year or just some change out. It's just like, wow, that's a thing that's actually happened. I didn't know that was a thing that could happen in Burning Man.
Burning Man is definitely a thing that takes a while to integrate. It's like and for some people it literally is, a heavy drug trip. There's just so much information and novelty that it's gonna take a while for that all to become a coherent part of your history.
It's like that, or it's like the William Gibsonian idea of VR. Like there is a fourth dimensional space that you are in. And if you've got the right password or connection or just enough moxie, you can find whatever crazy thing exists out there.
Well, now we know for whom Burning Man is like a drug trip.
Is it me? Did I play my hand?
Wow, so that's fascinating. Your therapist suggested Burning Man.
Cool ass therapist, right?
Thank you.
Had you previously been aware of Burning Man before your therapist suggested it?
I've been vaguely aware of Burning Man. It didn't really become a thing until I started doing a little bit of research on my own. And then my therapist kind of brought it all together because he has done like ayahuasca trips. He's very much aware of spirituality of gatherings such as Burning Man. And he suggested that to me. And I'm just like, A, wow, that you as a therapist would recommend that to me.
Right.
And then B, like, wow, that's exactly Rex what I was looking for. After being, the past like several years of this ridiculous pandemic we experienced, I wanted to do something involving people because as someone who is an introvert that became an extrovert recently, like I appreciate people. I love people. I love being around people. I don't care your background is. I don't care what you look like. If you get along with me, I give the same right back to you. And that's what led me to, with my therapist, considering Burning Man. And I went for the first time last year. And I had, for multiple reasons, the time of my life.
That's pretty good.
That's the story I want to hear. So you had some connections to the community, though. You had a friend that you interacted with out there when you were out there.
Yes. And actually, I met this friend in a group. The group that I camped with is called Dr. Baron von Realz Most Spectacular Steampunk Sideshow. I met them out here in Newark, and I helped them out, on build days, doing projects and stuff. And I went out to Burning Man with them.
Oh, cool.
And they were an absolutely fantastic group of folks. Many of them I still keep in touch with, and I'm internally indebted to them for giving me this experience of a lifetime.
What kind of art did you all put together this year?
We unfortunately didn't do any like art car related things. That was on the table, but it didn't happen. There was some things we did. Like I know one of our camps had, one of our campmates had was called a behavioral therapy, where this person was a therapist and they were kind of making it into like an art piece where people could come and like take like one of the objects that were there at this behavioral therapy session, or just if they wanted to bring an object of their own that had some meaning to them, and as a way of doing therapy that was just fun and in line with the principles of Burning Man, which I thought was just like wild to me.
Therapy is a fruitful subject for artistic exploration at Burning Man. I mean, not a year goes by where there aren't at least 2 Lucy booths.
Peanuts Lucy booths.
Is there any other kind of Lucy booth?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I didn't know there was any. I'm curious.
It's a desk with a sign across the top that says psychiatric help 5 cents. The doctor isn't.
Oh, yes, we did have that. One of our campmates actually painted that very same sign.
It is, I don't know how I feel in total about Peanuts, but Charles Schultz has definitely donated that particular form to our collective conscious, and it will never go away.
Yeah, most of them have to do with Lucy. Some of them have to do with Snoopy. But he definitely put like 4 or 5 things in the perpetual zeitgeist.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Not only the booth, but also the football.
Yep.
Lucy.
What a prick.
I mean, you say that, but psychiatric help for 5 cents? Come on.
Yeah, dude, but that was like back in the fucking 50s when you made like $3 to $12 a week. That's still a pretty big percentage of your income. Man, my grandpa ran like a fucking shop floor of a factory that made like hi-fi speakers and jet airplane engines.
Oh,
and he was pulling
Sparks and Steam Factory?
It was the Empire something and something. But he was pulling home like $32 a week, and that was fucking huge.
Wow.
So, How long ahead of time did you get your very specific prescription? How much lead time did your therapist give you to get your ass to Burning Man?
We first had that conversation. It might have been March. And so that gave me roughly 4 or 5 months from knowing about Burning Man through him. And it's like, okay, I now know this is the thing I have to do. I have to get a ticket, and that in of itself is a struggle. Get all of my camping gear, get all of my necessities. So it took about a good 4 or 5 months to get everything together, talk with, members of my campmates who are already there, Rex, who know what to do, what not to do, in order for me to be as prepared as I could be for this wonderful experience called Burning Man.
Wow, that going from like basically first contact to on playa in 5 months is
That's pretty good.
yeah.
It was a challenge.
And this positively transformed your life, as it does for so many.
Of course it does.
Oh, it did in multiple ways. And I'm saying this idea as somebody, like one of the best things that the pandemic, taught me was about my mental health. That A, that I cherish it, and B, that I don't have to sacrifice anything or anyone for it. And so coming to Burning Man with that mentality, it has changed my life in so many ways that I'm eternally grateful for it. Like there have been some times like D-Day where I've just like sat and cried like, wow, I can't believe I had this experience. And that I'm going to go for it again this year, which I absolutely am planning to do.
That's great.
That's what I want to hear.
Yep.
How did you manage to get your ticket?
It was through the camp. So what my camp did, and I'm sure a lot of camps do this, where they will have multiple members through one of the main cells get tickets. And then so if somebody doesn't have a ticket, if another member of the camp is able to get a ticket, I'm able to buy a ticket through that member, which I did. So I was very fortunate that there were some on hand, and I was able to get it through one of my campmates, and that's how I was able to purchase my ticket.
You know what I like about that right there? That is collaborative effort. That is civic responsibility. And that, in a sense, is gifting too. Even if you're reselling that ticket, you're gifting your financial risk.
And it's all around the important structure of like art and making art collaboratively, which, in my opinion, is the hinge of Burning Man.
Shut up. Art is overrated. Art is gross. Who needs art?
Look, man, even when you go dancing at your EDM parties at Burning Man, you are, in a way, creating art.
I mean, that's a point. I can't argue against it and feel good about myself. And I do this exclusively to feel good about myself.
So what was the first thing that just like floored you when you hit Playa?
It was just seeing people, and people in just such like elaborate outfits. And it was that combined with somebody greeting me and just giving me a hug. And I'm just like, man, brother, bring it in. And it was just something about that D-Day that just felt so wholesome and beautiful and rewarding. Now I'm just like, okay, I know that I'm home now. I know that this is going to be one of the best weeks of my life. And I just haven't forgotten that moment since. And while there were some downs, there were certainly a hell of a lot of ups at Burning Man. And I knew that just set the expectation I was going to have a magical experience.
Yeah, it's a good place to start. Oh, this is amazing. This is going to be great.
Did you do a dust angel?
I did. It was just like when in Rome.
Oh, yeah.
I was in like shorts and shirts, and I'm just like, this feels amazing.
When in filth, get filthy.
I used to kind of scoff at the dust angel, but I've come to realize that you really need to get that intimate with that dust, and as quickly as possible, because it's going to happen.
At very least, it's good camouflage.
And great sunscreen.
I'm glad that I did that because it made me learn to just embrace the dust.
Yep.
It's going to get everywhere. It's going to get in your tent. You can either fight it, which I feel is futile, or you can embrace it and just know it's part of the process.
There's a couple ways to like lower your exposure to it in your tent, but like not really your first year or your second.
Yeah, I've been in some pretty effectively dust-proof spaces, but they're pretty elaborate.
Yeah, like they have airlocks.
Oh my God.
I'm not necessarily referring to the hospital, though that one is dust-proof.
I thought you were talking about the Fuckhospital, the one over at 730 and J.
I don't go to Fuckhospital since they got their license pulled.
Wait, there's a Fuckhospital?
No.
I don't think so. I mean, I wouldn't
Like,
be
tell me
surprised.
more.
I haven't gone there. Oh, I bet it's great.
I mean,
And weird.
I'm pretty confident that if you compared like the caseload at Rampart versus the caseload of a a similar hospital in a similar size city, there would be many more fuck-related incidents.
I don't know.
It's a dangerous place to do all sorts of things, and people fuck a lot.
As I've heard.
So obviously this was a challenging year, and your first year is always a challenging year, no matter what. What was your hard point?
Ooh, okay. We're gonna get deep. So let me set this up. So this was a Monday of a burn week. I was out on a deep playa with some of my campmates, and we had a good time. I was on some substances, some that now looking back, I wish I wasn't on, just because it just didn't fit that moment for me. And it got to a point at one point at Rex where it was a combination of me being on these substances, B, having sensory overload because I'm seeing so much that is new to me at once that I kind of had like a crisis. And I just had to like sit down and just like feel my feelings because it was just really intense. But here's the good thing, because I'm someone who likes to learn from difficult moments because it makes you stronger. From, listening to podcasts like Accuracy Third, talking to, some of my campmates, I learned to feel my feelings at the moment. And this is a good lesson for folks. If you're going through a moment where you're just hungry, angry, tired, frustrated, whatever, just stop at that exact moment and feel your feelings. I think people in the Burning Man community call it HALT. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired, feel your moment. And I sat there on the playa and just felt that moment. And I cried it out and I felt better. And the rest of burn week was amazing. That was just a low point that I'm glad, Rex, that it happened on Monday because it really gave me a lot of perspective for the week ahead. And it made for ultimately an incredible experience at Burning Man.
It's like the healthiest thing you can do.
It really is.
What did you find most surprising?
That is a very good question. What I found most surprising was just how open people were. Like, I could literally go and just talk to like random burners and I would just have the most amazing conversations. And I just felt seen and heard, and it didn't feel like awkward. And I was able to talk to them about anything. Like, we've had conversations out there about grilled cheese sandwiches and Saturday morning cartoons. And it just felt like people that I've grown up with. It was just amazing to have that sense of immediacy and openness. It was especially important given the past, several years that we went through. We were all isolated, stuck in our homes for people to be out and just being appreciative of each other. It really, really just struck me as like, wow, like humanity we're still here. It hasn't completely gone to shit.
What you're pointing to is something that I hadn't really conceptualized before, though obviously it's like one of the core features of the event, but the openness that you have with people at Burning Man is a lot like the openness you would have at like a close friend's birthday party where 99 of 100 guests are people that you are at least acquainted with, and a lot of them are your good friends, versus like a local party that you go to where you might know 2 people out of 1,000, where you're going to have a good time, but you're not going to just like walk up and chat about mundane shit with random person. Most of the people you're running into are completely emotionally cracked open in the same way you are.
Would you say we've all been transformed, Rex?
No, that's the thing I try to get other people to say. How about physically? How was your experience in the place that wants to kill us?
It was challenging at first, but as I adapted, I was surprised how comfortable I became. And especially how comfortable I became with eating much less food than I normally would. It's a combination of, being in this intense weather, which I heard this was just one of the most difficult Burning Man years ever.
Yeah.
It was still.
It was a combination of one of the like highest average daily temperatures and several dry winters in a row. There was so much more powdery dust everywhere than there usually is. You'll see this year, like we've had the opposite this year. We had that gigantic ass wet winter. The playa was not just a lake, but a fully frozen lake, we have just learned.
Wow.
And when that happens, when there's a lot of water sitting on the playa, it settles all the dust and really like concretizes it. So we should have a really nice flat packed load dust playa this year.
Oh my God.
Hopefully, knock wood.
Yeah, it'll be great if it happens.
Yeah.
Yes.
But something else will be terrible, and we don't know what it is.
Exactly.
Maybe there'll be leeches this year. I don't know.
My guess is that it's going to be very wet too late, and all the build schedule is going to be behind. Maybe things will get stuck.
Oh, no.
Also, bugs. This will probably be a bug year.
I didn't want to mention the possibility of bugs.
Oh, there's definitely going to be bugs.
I don't like the bugs here.
It's going to be really pretty drive out, lots of wildflowers, and then bugs.
I'm all about it. Let's do it.
You should be fine. Most of the bugs are dead by the time the participants get there. They all flock to the build Klieg lights and eat up DPW and die.
I will say one thing, speaking of this, that I had to get used to was like riding a bike out there was a struggle. Ooh. I mean, I was on the struggle bus and I had a semi-decent bike, but some of those dunes are no joke. It wore my ass out.
That'll be another thing that shouldn't be as big an issue this year. What kind of bike did you bring?
It was one of my campmates. It was a relatively decent mountain bike. It did break, thankfully. Being on 430 and B, we were right across. We were neighbors with a camp that fixes bikes.
Nice.
Which was
That is luck.
incredible. So that definitely came in handy, and I couldn't have thanked those folks enough. I made sure to just hug them all and tell them just thank you so much for just providing just such a great service on the playa.
Yeah, mountain bike is going to break on you every single time. The playa is just like a nightmare for steel machinery of any kind. What was your favorite art that you saw?
There was one, and it was near the man. I'll do my best to describe this. It was this tall, skinny pole, and it had like this circle contraption, and under it, it had like these really psychedelic shapes that were going. And at daytime, it is what it is, but at night, it was just like, oh my God. I could just stare at this for hours on end.
It was a tripper trap.
Yes. It was absolutely mind blowing.
That is a style within the art movement that is Burning Man art is tripper traps.
Humongous executive toys.
Really over the top demos of LED sequencing.
Mm-hmm.
It was a beautiful piece, and just like it was just like I had like my moment of zen, just staring at this, like the world just stopped, and I could just have like a moment of tranquility. And I stared at this at least for like an hour straight, just with the biggest grin on my face, because there's something about this just connected with me, and it was real beautiful. There's just so much great art out there. There's great art cars. I think there was something like octopus related that I kept seeing, and I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Was it made out of metal and shot fire out of it? That is El Pulpo Mecanico.
Nearly killed me. Nearly set me on fire this year, you fucks.
That's actually the second iteration of that mutant vehicle.
Oh, no way. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was its first first year.
Yeah, they built it. It was staple for a while, and I'm not actually sure why it was retired, but
he brought out the Hell Bus or something like that the following year.
yeah, he brought out a different mutant vehicle, and it was great, but it wasn't El Pulpo.
It was better than many other mutant vehicles, but it wasn't what we wanted from that guy. We've decided we want the exact same sort of Thunderdome from that man every year from here on out.
And it's fun because it's a brand new El Pulpo Mecanical. Like everything is new about it, but I couldn't tell you in what way it's different than the previous one. It's almost the exact same art piece, except that it's
Made out of different colanders.
Yeah, that one is great. It has everything. It's got gears, it's got fire, it's an octopus. What more could you want?
Yep.
Oh, absolutely.
You can see it from deep playa. It's profound.
Yeah. I can tell you one really cool art car that I saw.
Yeah.
And there's a really cool story about this.
Please.
Are you aware of the Camp Charlie unicorn art car?
I'm gonna say yes, but go on with your story, and and then we'll see if what my brain supplies matches what you.
I like it.
Boy, you're hedging your bets, aren't you? Let's all give Rex a round of applause for being so restrained.
I am politic.
I love it. So this was, I believe, Tuesday of Burn Week. There was a nearby camp. I think It was the Bubble Lounge that had this Camp Travel Unicorn art car, and I wanted to help clean up their moop, as I think that's in line with Burning Man principles. If you can, help out. The camp will love you for it. You'll feel good for helping out, and so I did. So I saw some moop, I collected it, and they say like, hey, Passion, when we get this art card going, do you want to come on and join us? And I'm like, yes,
I'm in.
I'm in. You sold me. And so later that night, I went on that art car with some wonderful folks. We went to Deep Playa. This ride lasted about 8 or 9 hours. I was dancing my ass off, having the time of my life, meeting incredible people, and it was just a great experience. Of course, as I'm sure you both are aware, it can get cold out there in the playa.
Yes, it can.
4 a.m, and I was not aware of this because I brought shorts. I didn't bring any coat or pants. Lesson learned, folks.
Wait, you didn't bring any on your adventure, or you didn't pack any?
I did pack some. I just didn't bring it on his car. But I did make sure to bring, I came back.
The next time you do it, wait till you feel that chagrin. Like sometime late your second year, early your third year, you're like, well, it's warm right now. It's only 5 p.m. I'm going to be fine. I'll be back long before dark. It's not going to be that cold tonight. And then it's like 11 at night and you're in way deep playa. And it's like, if you're lucky, high 40s.
Yeah, that was quite a struggle. But here's where the beautiful part comes in. So this was likely 4 a.m. I was getting cold, so I found a random shirt that was on an art car, and I tried to like snuggle myself to sleep because I was getting cold. And one of the campmates who this art car belonged to, he did one of the most beautiful acts I've ever seen in my life. He picked me up, he got his shirt, he snuggled next to me, and he kept me warm. And I didn't even ask him to do this. There's a million other things he could have done, and I'm sure it would have been fine, but he decided to sacrifice some of his comfort to keep me warm.
That's Arctic Circle shit right there.
And I was just like, A, on the verge of tears, B, like, you, sir, are on the Mount Rushmore of human beings. And I'm not kidding. I'm about to say next, if I could get you a ticket, I would, because you were so nice. I know, like, people are doing things on Burning Man without expecting anything in return, but oh my God, dude, you so took care of me. And I would never, ever forgot that moment. And I hope to be, if it happens this coming burn or future burns, I hope to be to that person what this person was to me.
That's something great to aspire to.
Maybe you should think about being a ranger. You'd be that for the whole city.
I thought about it. I did actually volunteer. I actually volunteered for Arctica.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. It was a great way to be in a place that was cool, which was nice. And even more important, I got to, help out the org, which is, it's in my nature. I like to help out, and I had a wonderful, wonderful time.
Did you get up in the trucks, sling ice?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so much fun.
That is one of the best volunteer gigs on Playa.
It really is.
There is nothing I want out of that at all.
You don't want to, like...
Once I acclimate, I have acclimated. I do not. I am willing to go like 30, 40 degrees hotter than Playa and then come back to baseline, but I'm not going under it willingly.
All right, so I guess the challenge then, let's see if we can do it next year. We'll do a shift in the refrigerated trucks followed by a steam bath, and maybe we can die.
Holy shit. I imagine that like your fillings just pop out. Something terrible happens. I know that the metal expands and contracts like at a different rate than the teeth. I'm going to skip it. God, I cannot even imagine having like a serious dental event on Playa. How goddamn debilitating and miserable that's worse than getting really sick.
I think there's a dentist around.
Sometimes I need an endodontist.
I think Painless is still around.
Great.
You haven't lived until you've had Playa Dentistry.
I'd do it.
And now spit. Oh man, that could be like a Playa experience. Just offer dental rinse and spit. Just a chair with that.
You're gonna have to deal with somebody showing up who needs actual dental work, and I don't want to be a part of it. You're gonna, like, the second you just even put a dentist chair up, and you're like, no, we're a barber shop. They're just like, yeah, look at that.
No, so here's the service. You get a dental chair and one of those, like one of the mouth vacuums and a little rinsey roos and a little spittoon, and you set up right on Esplanade. And the service is that you can get in the chair and you can get the mouth vacuum and the little rinsey rinse, and you can also get your teeth brushed with like a giant novelty toothbrush. And those are the only services offered.
As long as the novelty toothbrush has a clock in it, I think that's far enough away from a real toothbrush so that like we won't be sued for doing unlicensed dentistry in Nevada.
It's okay. We can apply for a Nevada dental license. It's only $75.
That would be funny. I know you need running water for things like that, but we could just have a guy with gallons of water pouring them in a bucket one after another.
Those little spritzers don't put out much water. We could probably one of those hand pump Mr. Tanks. That's probably more than enough.
Yeah, I think we need to have like a fireman's hose. A fireman's hose and a shop vac and the giant toothbrush. We're just going to do giant dentistry. I'm all in on this now.
Let's do this. Let's go.
Oh, my God. Yeah, so we have a Lucy booth, dentistry 5 cents, and we all just have gigantic, humongous, painful implements for pretending to do dentistry. Except they're real, and we do dentistry.
Passion, can I ask you about your experience as a person of color on Playa?
Oh, yeah.
I was going to do that, though, but like later in the interview.
But see, I went to the bathroom, and so, my pipes are all clear.
Great, yeah. Yeah, what was it like being on Playa and seeing like the most humongous cutouts of black burners imaginable?
It was eye-opening. Like, I was so happy to see like so many folks of color, so many people that looked like me, that had my like life experience, who went through a lot of, things that I went through. And it was really empowering. I'll tell you one really just epic experience that I had at Burning Man that really helped me reaffirm my blackness. So this might have been like Wednesday or Thursday of Burn Week. This burner, whose Playa name was White Lightning, as you do.
This can go either way.
Who was black? I want to make that clear.
Much better.
Exactly. He was like, hey, Passion, there's this group of about 200-300 African Americans going to Deep Playa to do a photo shoot. You want to come with? And I'm like, sure. So we met some other folks. It was African American woman and her husband, and like the four of us went out to Deep Playa, and what we saw, Rex and D-Day, it was just one of the most beautiful experiences I've ever seen in my life. It was like 200-300 African American people that were just sitting there just being happy and jovial and crying and happy and elated, seeing folks that look like them in this wonderful, beautiful space that is Burning Man. Like, we were talking like people giving hugs to each other. We were talking folks just like crying. It's like, hey, you went through life experiences I went through. Like, I'm sure you got stopped by a police officer for your color. I'm sure you had to worry about how to fit in this society being a person of color. Like, hey, like, I'm the only person in this camp who's black. Hey, I had that same experience too. It was just such a wonderful experience. And the beautiful thing about it was that none of this was planned. Just by some miracle, people of color convinced each other, hey, let's all go to this spot in Deep Playa, get together, take a photo, and just share this moment. And it remains just one of the happiest moments of my life.
My God, thank you for sharing that with me. With us.
No. It's all for you, Rex.
I'm just very personally happy to hear that. I've been involved in a number of discussions about the ride program at Burning Man, which is still very much in its infancy. And one thing that has come to my mind in these conversations is how unfortunate it is that Burning Man historically, and I'm happy to hear that it's moving away from this experience, how historically Burning Man has recapitulated the American black-white divide. While in almost any other aspect you could think of, is a fully diversified space. It is an extremely queer space. It's a space with
Wild economic diversity.
wild economic diversity where people from all over the globe are invited. Like, people say Burning Man is a white thing. I'm like, well, it's like a white thing and an Asian thing and a Latin thing and a South Asian thing. It's just kind of weirdly not a black thing. And not weirdly, because what it is an American thing. And it's so hard to excise the...
It still exists in the American paradigm of white people convincing the entire country that camping and outdoor recreation in that way is for white people.
And so it makes me absolutely thrilled to hear that your first burn as a person of color can contain an experience that is deeply affirming of your blackness. I'm thrilled.
It was like a really powerful moment. I was, and a lot of us there were in tears. It just felt like we were seen, we were heard. It wasn't like, and I want people of color to know this. Like, my just experience of Burning Man and a lot of us there, it wasn't just we were just props. We were seen, we were heard, we were respected, we were valued. And I want people to come away with this, that if you're a person of color, like, you are welcomed at Burning Man. Like, I know, like, contrary to popular opinion that, oh, this is just mainly for, people who are white. Like, no, like, you're valued here.
There are some hippies there, but we are a different sort of hippie. We are doing some hippie shit. I'm not going to lie. But
Yes.
like we're a differently sort of hippie space.
Absolutely.
What's great to me about that is that it kind of solves a riddle of Ride. Like, it's always been expressly in Burning Man's ethos that everybody is invited. It is always meant to be radically inclusive. Nobody there wants it to be a white space. Almost nobody. There's always assholes in every environment.
Oh, yeah.
But that is not what Burning Man is. Burning Man is everybody, please come to the party and bring your thing. But there is no way for Burning Man as a culture that suffers from white habitus to really like proactively work against that without being accused of and justifiably so of tokenism. It wouldn't do for Burning Man to be like, well, we need to get more blacks here. But to hear that it's moved, that it's not that experience anymore is just incredible. Or at least for you.
No. Well said, Rex. Absolutely well said. It was like, I don't know if like my experience is an outlier. I'm sure there's other folks of color there who may like disagree. Just the general consensus I got is that I feel like there's a place here for me as a person of color. And I'm happily, as a person of color, will be back at Burning Man again. And it was such a powerful experience, Rex, that I took this out to the default world. Like, when I went back after this experience, I went to the camp and I said, I am black and I'm proud and I do not give a fuck what any of you have to say about that. I'm going to be me, as passion, as a proud black man who loves being black. And you can all do whatever you want with what I just said. That's what I said at my camp. I told them, I think the majority of people there were white. And they're cool, by the way. It's just, like, I was just like in no fucks given mode. I said what I said. I'm black. I've done the same thing in the default world when I'm in various gatherings. Regardless of the complexity of people there, I let people know, like, I'm black, I'm proud. You can rock with it. If you don't have to rock with it. If you do, great. If not,
pipe down.
Exactly. There's the door, and don't let it hit your ass on the way out.
Fucking love that.
Yep.
It's Rex. It's a perfect nexus point of me loving myself more thanks to going to therapy, seeing a therapist, and then as I'm getting older, giving less fucks. And I'm right there being 39 years old at that point where life is really good because I love who I am as a black man. And I don't have time to like sit up here and worry what will people think about me if I do things because I'm black, or if I'm outraged because I'm black, or if I do things. It's just like life is too short for that. It really, really is.
Yeah, you can be having fun and be outraged by inequality all at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. my constant state. Very excited about many things, like fucking befuddled and outraged by the rest of them.
Constantly.
It's okay. Being empowered by Burning Man is a fabulous thing to find yourself with as you turn 40.
It really is, and it's been a blessing. Like, there have been, and it's shocking to say, like, as me, like, discovering more of my blackness because of what I've seen at Burning Man, there have been some folks who haven't jived with that, and I'm just like, thank you, peace out, and again, don't let the door hit you on the way out. I'm glad that we're no longer cool, and I can live with that, because I am black and proud, and I'm glad that Burning Man did that for me and for so many other people. I'm sure that they feel proud being people of color, because there's a space where they're not just tokenized or heard, but valued and appreciated and respected.
Yeah, a bunch of white nerds came up with some cool shit for once. Please come along, bring your music.
Oh my God, please.
Yeah, like the problem is I genuinely believe that black people were always welcomed to the event, but like there wasn't any outreach given or an invitation, and there should have been. But like we could have maybe constrained the whole EDM movement to maybe like 5 or 6 years and really started blending in some better music to that.
I mean, I've always wanted more hip hop at Burning Man, but
It kind of sucks that most of it is EDM out there, and then like every once in a while you find bluegrass. Like, could we be fucking whiter?
there's always been jazz camp.
I don't remember it being a really swinging time the 2 or 3 times I walked in there.
You don't like jazz.
Yeah, but there's boisterous like New Orleans jazz, and then there's real up your ass jazz.
Yeah, I know. You don't like jazz. All that up your ass jazz, that was also made by black people.
They weren't performing it.
Fair.
It's interesting, D-Day, that you mentioned the EDM piece, because before I went to Burning Man, I did a lot of like the commercial EDM festivals. I did like Nocturnal Wonderland and EDC and, all of that stuff. And the benefit of Burning Man is I feel that there's a deeper experience there than being in this space that you're paying, $500-$600 for a ticket, seeing this person perform and everybody. And it's generally a good time, but I just feel that Burning Man is just such a deeper experience where we are the attraction.
Oh, yeah.
All of us, 80,000 folks, you are the reason that Burning Man is. It's not whether it's Armin van Buuren or Calvin Harris or whoever the next act is.
Right.
Just being up there doing their thing, and all of us, it's like, yeah, let's have a good time. No, it's like all of us are the attraction. Every single one of you comes with a story, comes with pain and struggle and success. All of you are the attraction that makes Burning Man what it is. And that's something I don't feel you could ever get in any of these traditional like EDM festivals.
Oh, no.
Well, the music is the background.
Yes.
The thing we're doing is the main event.
Yes.
I have no complaint about EDM at Burning Man per se. People want to dance. I like to dance sometimes. I prefer to dance to hip hop. Or like breakbeat, which just isn't popular anymore, but that's just a taste thing. But I will say that the few times where I have been going somewhere to see somebody who is a famous music person that somebody is interested in have been the least enjoyable times I have
Interesting.
gone out.
I'm curious.
I was taken to see Major Lazer.
Major Lazer!
Who was so up his own ass, he would interject into his fucking tracks every like 6 bars and talk about how he's Major Lazer, and then he would like switch the fucking track, and it like,
if I have to see Infected Mushroom one more goddamn time.
That's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Well, pretty sure they're still going to Burning Man.
the flip side of that is there's an obscure experimental metal band, or was, I think they're non-existent anymore, that I dig, and I was looking through YouTube videos of one of their tracks, this 18-minute orchestral, not at all heavy metal except in like 8 bars thing, and found them playing at Burning Man.
Oh, wow.
Like 2000.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, at Center Camp.
It's the place to be.
Mm-hmm. And also at the Man, like they did 2 performances of it, both on video.
That's beautiful.
All weird shit is connected. That is the
it really does.
doctrine of
Yeah.
weirdness.
Like the subculture does proliferate throughout the world, like that underground fungus that lives in most of Wyoming.
So we're recording this like 4 months before Burning Man 2023, which is going to be your sophomore effort.
Yes, sir.
What overly ambitious mistake are you planning?
Really ambitious mistake.
Oh, he's going to have a shift pod.
I didn't have the best of tents my first burn, so I'm definitely thank you to Parina, a dear good friend. She offered to lend me her shift pod.
Oh, nice.
So that's going to be a massive, massive upgrade to my previous tent. It'll be nice to be Rex in a tent that I could stand up and change and actually put all of my stuff and not have it out there in the elements like I did last year.
Were you in a camping tent?
I was. It was
With mesh windows?
yes. And even though I was fortunate that my camp did have like a shade, and which was very nice, having a tent with mesh is not the best idea for
Nope.
us.
Don't recommend.
Dust will get in.
First-time burners who are listening, if you are looking for a tent for Burning Man, any tent you find at the camping store or your Walmart or on Amazon is not going to work. It's going to have mesh vents at the top. The first dust storm that comes up, there's going to be dust in your tent, like a lot of dust in your tent. And there's the windows, the zip-up windows, those are fine, but the ones at the top that just have the rain fly over them, they're going to fuck you. They are going to fuck you.
Burning Man is just so expensive as it is. Like, on top of that, you got to buy like a $600 tent.
You don't gotta. I mean, you can account for this and put tape over those.
Doesn't work.
vents.
When it comes down to it, it never works.
It does if you do it before playa and you use the right kind of tape. You can seal those mesh vents, but that's then you're gonna have a real hot tent.
Yeah. It's always something in it.
Always something.
What I am going to also bring to rectify the mistakes from my previous burn is have food. And I did what I did previously and have a protein shake and macaroni and cheese. Playa food of champions, folks.
It is such a conundrum to figure out how to feed yourself out there because you're not hungry. At least I rarely am.
But you have to survive.
You have calories. And most importantly, you need fucking salt.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to make sure this time to have a nice container full of chocolatey sweets, get some salt in there. Whether it's, I don't know, Tostitos, beef jerky, like just really salty good food so that I am satiated. And also to give to others, by the way. I'm not one to just, I always like to share with others. It's a good way to live, just, pass it along. And if there's any burners out there that need some food, hey, I'm happy to help you out. We're all are in this together. That's my philosophy anyway.
Nuts are great.
Nuts are great. Salty nuts are great. Salty and sweet nuts, also great.
Oh, yeah. You get those salty sweet nut mixes. Or even like make one yourself. Get like mixed nuts and glazed nuts. And
Pickled everything.
Those are great. Pickles will give you a lot of salt and some hydration. And they're a pickle.
I never thought I'd say this, but actually having pickle juice out there in the playa was so refreshing.
Oh, it's great.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Like, this is unexpectedly delicious.
Because you were about to die. Yeah, a healthy body doesn't crave that much vinegar and salt.
It's also that vinegar is so nice in an overly alkaline environment. Like the taste is so accentuated. Did you try a pickleback? Are you a drinker at all?
Yes, I am. I know there was some bar I went to that did like pickle infused like alcohol drinks.
Pickletinis?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pickletini and pickleback are essential on playa. Pickleback is just a shot of whiskey with some pickle juice to chase.
Like that was like up there with having like wood fired shrimp pizza. That's just one of the best like confections I had on the playa. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. We could bring a pizza oven for the kitchen.
I was just thinking we could just mix up gallons of pickle brine and dump bottles of gin in them and just bring big, huge pre-mixed pickletinis.
Yeah, you can just get pickle juice from the food service store. They got pickle juice, they got olive juice.
It's salt and vinegar and pickling spice.
But you can get it already good. You got any blue color, yellow color to add to it? Then let's get the stuff in the bottle.
Yes, I do.
That's weirder. Stop it. What sort of stories and things about Burning Man would you share with your family and friends who had not experienced Burning Man before when you got back from Burning Man?
That is a great question. A lot of what I've already been sharing has just been because I'm somebody who has a big focus recently in mental health. Like I just tell people just this profound spiritual benefit that Burning Man has had on me physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. It has awakened a part of me D-Day where I realize, man, life is fucking beautiful. I know the past 3 years that we went through, man, like things haven't gone to shit, folks. Like there is beauty out there in the universe. You just gotta put the effort in finding it. And for me, like the experiences I've had with me, like discovering like my blackness at Burning Man, just the people I've met who took care of me, the wonderful experiences I've had when I was, like get my bike fixed, going to the Costco Soulmate Trading Outlet. That was a fun experience.
I'm glad that's still there.
We've never had anybody talk about what that is like, and that's such a fixture of Burning Man. Can you tell us about what Costco is and what it was like for you?
Oh, absolutely. So for folks out there who are, hopefully looking for love to, straight, gay, lesbian, non-binary folks, anybody out there in the quest for love, Costco Soulmate Trading Outlet is basically a way to connect burners, to explore romantic opportunities in whatever form they take. So what I did, which was smart of me, during beginning of burn week, I went to Costco Soulmate Trading Outlet. I filled out a form. And the idea is that you are going to be looking for a potential match and somebody else is going to be looking for you. And I was fortunate enough to meet a wonderful woman out there. Ultimately, things didn't happen as life goes, but it was just such a wonderful experience. I got to connect with a burner who was part of an art camp. I forget the name of the camp. I think it starts like it's mystical or something like that. But it was a really, really wonderful connection, Rex, to meet someone that we connected with on so many levels because she's also into mental health. So for me, that's just like, yes, we can relate. And it was, we did go out on a date of sorts. This was actually, it's interesting enough, I'll say this story. We went on a date and it was on the day that I'm sure you were aware of that big dust storm that happened. I don't know if this was on the day of the burn or before, but there was that massive sandstorm that happened. We were just finishing up our date. So for me, being the gentleman I am, I decided to take her where she needed to be with her camp to make sure she was safe. And then I went and headed for the man because that was just the safest place to be. I made sure to have my visor, cuddled up with a bunch of other burners, and we just rode out that storm. But to get back to your original point, I had a wonderful experience, thanks to the Costco Soulmate Trading Outlet. I will likely be going there again this year to see what happens, but it was just a remarkable, beautiful experience. And I can't thank those folks enough for the beautiful service they're doing for burners on the playa. It's a remarkable, wonderful experience.
So how did the service actually work? So you went in and you filled out a form.
Yep.
And did you have to like go back and get results?
24 hours later, you go back. They will give you like, hey, this is somebody who you might be a potential match for. So they'll give you all their information and you have to go find this person. And then also there's somebody out there who had my information who was looking for me.
But that was going to be a different person?
A different person.
Oh,
nice.
So for everybody who's going to Costco Soulmate Outlet, there's somebody that you'll be looking for who will get their information, and there's hopefully somebody who will be looking for you.
And you can go in there by yourself?
Correct.
Okay. I either misperceived the requirements or they've changed since the last time I thought about it, because I think they used to expect you to come in pairs and they'd process you through.
That doesn't sound familiar to me, but a lot of things don't.
Yeah, again, maybe I'm thinking of Orgy Dome.
I mean, that's definitely the case for there.
It's definitely the case for Orgy Dome. Maybe I just think everything's an orgy. Is that too thirsty? Leave that in.
We're probably not going to do it because we haven't managed to get our pictures taken together, the three of us at Burning Man yet, really. But
that's not true. There is one photo of us, all three together.
Yeah, but like we were doing work together. We didn't like pose for it. We were tending bar. But we could, the three of us, go to Costco and put our information in and see what happens from us being matched with people and us having to find people. But that also seems like a lot of work.
As a creative triad?
No, but that'd be funny too. I just think if the three of us put our application in and we are in turn looking for 3 people and having 3 people try to find us, there is the chance that we will meet one person on Playa.
Is that too thirsty? Leave that in.
Oh, that's funny.
All right. I think that is a solid ass episode.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate it. And I just want to give a huge thank you to Rex, Beth, and D-Day, and the folks of Accuracy Third. You were all part of this journey. I listened to the official Burning Man podcast. It is certainly fine. But listening to the 3 of you, it's rare in the podcast space when you have like big leaguers like, like Joey Diaz, like Joe Rogan, all of them. It's like, that's one thing. But the authenticity that you 3 have is such a beautiful thing for us burners and people who are trying to get into the community. And I would not have been able to have a successful burn if it wasn't in large part thanks to the 3 of you.
Oh,
and just the lessons that you all have imparted upon me, especially about, feeling your feelings and dealing with that at the moment. There could not be a better podcast around for telling the stories of Burning Man. And the community owes like a huge debt of gratitude to the 3 of you. And I hope this keeps going for many, many years to come because I've changed so many lives, including mine.
Aw, stop. Come on.
Thanks.
This is the Shimopi part of the episode.
No. I'm sitting with those feelings. There was a time where I would have tried to pivot that into a joke or something. But that feels really good, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
D-Day? Is that too thirsty? Leave that in.
That's good. That's great. Get out. Get out before you fuck this up.
And that was passion.
One of the takeaways that I think should be pointed out from this episode is that we genuinely have one of the best, easiest playa games to play with people. Our giant dentistry idea is a fantastic idea.
Yes, giant playa dentistry is gold. It's brilliant. I've come up with a lot of great ideas on this podcast and just thrown them away. But this one is another one.
I haven't listened yet, but I assume it's a mediocrely amusing thing.
I don't think so.
It's brilliant. it would blow your goddamn mind if you came across giant playa dentistry on Playa.
There's a lot of things that would blow my mind if I ran across them on Playa.
See?
And now,
Accuracy Third is produced by Accuracy Third.
Which is me and D-Day and Beth sitting at computers punching away, typing and clicking, pointing and poking. The music on this episode
That's what I'm trying to find right now.
was by somebody who D-Day is going to insert right here.
Oh, but I'm looking at our Google Drive, not the server. The music on this episode is by whoever is in the show notes. I've edited the interview, but not put music underneath it. So
We'll
I
see.
don't know. We'll see.
Maybe the music in this episode is by you because you've listened to one of our previous episodes where we beg you to send us music to use in future episodes, and you've done so. But maybe the music in our next episode is by you because you're listening to me right now beg you for music to put in our episodes.
Would you like to be attributed this sloppily? You can be. Please reach out to us at accuracythird@gmail.com and know that we couldn't do this podcast without the support of you and patrons like you.
Think of us as free advertising that'll earn you nothing.
That's not true. We get $2 to $3 a month from TeePublic. Burner Narc, you're about to go to Playa. Have you heard about Burner Narc? Burner Narc is your source of the finest Playa t-shirts and bandana and other wares.
Mugs and shit.
BurnerNarc.com.
BurnerNarc.com. .com.
Well, the end there felt like a pretty bad bout of diarrhea, but the beginning felt like a nice solid poop.
And that's how you outro.
I like a recording session that goes to shit.
I don't know if this will be okay to say. I was
Everything's
doing
okay to say.
perfect. I was doing cocaine on Monday. Do not recommend, by the way. It just wasn't. I'm sure it's fine. It just wasn't for me. I prefer, like doing like edibles, more, happier experiences. And part of this moment was I was with some of my campmates. I was having a generally fine time, but I noticed that just something was off. I just was not feeling myself. So the combination of just this anxiety, I'm feeling I was this intense pressure in me with sensory overload because this is my first time on the playa and I'm seeing so much new. I just kind of had a panic attack, and I literally had to just exactly where I was, just sit down and halt and feel my feelings and figure out what is going wrong, Passion. What can you do to fix the situation now? And because I did that, I listened to my instincts, listened to what other people have taught me. I felt my feelings, and the rest of the burn after that was fine. But that was definitely a low scary point where I'm like, oh my God, this is actually happening. What am I going to do? But I realized I used my inner resources, and I came out of it. I felt a much stronger person for it.
It's funny that information kind of reframes the story for me, because when you first told it, I'm like, playa is a safe place to do psychedelics, and it sucks when you have a challenging trip, but that's fine. And hey, you don't need to take psychedelics to enjoy yourself, playa, but it's also a safe place to do it, so that's fine. And now I'm like, yeah, you don't need to do cocaine at the burn. Knock it off.
Exactly.
I focus on myself enough as it is. Like, I don't need to take substances that make me more me.
I don't judge anybody's drug use in specific or in general. Drugs are all inherently neutral. It's how any particular person does them that is an issue, and their economics under prohibition and capitalism, et cetera. But also, you don't need to do cocaine at Burning Man. Just stop it. Knock it off.
I definitely will never do that again. I had edibles and MDMA, and I had a remarkable experience.
The only time that I've been dosed against my will and been upset with it at Burning Man or elsewhere is when I find out that I have just been given cocaine. Yeah, watch other people's nasal spray is what I'm going to say.
Ugh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, sometimes when people are just like, hey, would you like some nasal spray? And I'm like, yeah, that's not what they're talking about.
Oh, no.
They have their own thing going on that you're not involved in.
That is why my go-to joke at Burning Man whenever anybody hands me anything is, what's the effective dose and onset? And if it's a cookie, then most of the time I get a nice laugh. And then sometime they're like, well, it's 50 milligrams. So it's tolerance dependent. I'm like, okay, can I have another cookie, please? Because I need a hundo.
They're like, hey, don't hog it. And I was like, I am trying to irrigate something out here. And they were like, yeah, but that's expensive. And I was like, saline is not expensive. And they were like, wadi-da in solution and saline is. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, so now you're telling me I did a massive dose of cocaine I didn't intend to do.